Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Happy Thursday to you. A quick look at Bitcoin again, see what's going on. Up 0.5% on the day. When we last left off yesterday, we were right here at this 100,500, 100.5, and essentially, just mentioned that we do have a potential support range here between 98.5 and roughly 99.6. We got in for a long at 99.5 right there on a single exchange. Thankfully, we got filled on KuCoin and took a good 20% there in roughly 2.5 hours. But generally speaking, I'm showing that to you because this is how it's supposed to work. When the price action breaks through a resistance, retest that. Keep in mind 99,600 or 99.7. That little range there is not only the golden pocket, but it's also our local high. Okay, in other words, the high that we hit before we achieved all-time highs. So if you look back here, we saw 99,600 roughly as our first high, so that's proven to be a new support for us. So just heads up on that. Price comes back down to that range. We may see some support there where the price action may pivot or bounce off one of these two levels. Okay, so that's just kind of the consensus there. But the cool thing here, and what we're seeing, just so you know, this isn't the cleanest either, by the way. It just never truly is, but this is somewhat of a cup and handle pattern here where the price actions, pulled back down, essentially bottomed out. You could even say the bottom was right here. And then of course we got this, little channel essentially, and the price broke out to the upside. And now we're retesting that local high of 101,500. So 101.5 is a new potential low for us. So hypothetically, we close at 101.5 today. It might be a good consideration for a long position. Okay, so again, just kind of throwing it out there, giving you some food for thought. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin's back in liquidation data. And just want to say thank you again so much for being an awesome, amazing part of my life. You know who you are. You've been either watching for a while or a short while, and you just can't get enough, or more importantly, just staying consistent. And I really appreciate that. It's people like you that make this all worthwhile, right? So thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the like button too if you get a chance. Let's take a quick look here at liquidation. And again, if you're new to the channel, perhaps you've been watching for a while, I like to clarify this because I get this question all the time. Why do you look at liquidation? How important is it? Well, it's not like the only thing you want to use, because obviously trading is all about kind of diversifying and not just your assets, but more importantly, your trading style, right? There's no one indicator that just does everything for you. People seem to think there is, but there really isn't. And at this point, though, 102.5 upwards about 103.1, we can see a heavy concentration liquidation. And what that is basically just telling us that's where a lot of people are shorting, and they're going to get stopped out if the price actually hits that level. Okay, so it's important to know that because market makers are really good. They're really tricky about hitting those levels and turning the price around. And it's just kind of a consistent thing in trading. So not to say that we hit 103.2 or 103.1 and the price turns around, but it would make sense for the price to at least hit that little level there. And now that we're in the range, okay, we're closer to the upper range, so it's more likely to be hit. Just like this $90,000 to 85,000 K range, that's a low probability it's going to be hit, but there's a lot of leverage there too. So you got to recognize too, we get closer to that low 90K range, we'll have that conversation, see what that looks like. But just know, for example, right now it's not a big deal. What is a big deal, and this is not, I guess not too big because it's only about 24 hours in, but when we start looking back here at liquidation delta, this basically just tells us a lot about how many people are taking longs versus shorts. And we got $8 billion worth of Bitcoin longs over shorts at this point. So it basically tells us that the bulls are controlling the price action. And that's a good sign. You want to be in that same realm. When things get a little dicey is when that stays too high for too long. So we're only in here for 24 hours. It's really common for like a 48-hour to 72-hour period to become overextended. That's typically how you see 2 nines on TD sequential on the 4-hour period. That's roughly 72 hours. And then of course we see here as well just the general consensus that it's at 8 billion. I've seen 12 upwards of 20 billion maintained for a good 3 or 4 days. So I think we're just getting started for the amount of liquidation here at this point, and it's important to know that because it implies that the price is probably more likely to go higher than lower at this point. Okay, now that we've broken back through that 100K threshold. So there's a lot of things that you want to kind of take into consideration here, but the overall consensus is that if we look at open interest, people are most interested in 100,500. So 100,500 is that open interest level, and we got 98.3 for the previous. So the reason why those are important is because that's where a lot of people are averaged in, and they're more likely to want to kind of continue. The price will sustain at that level as a strong likelihood. So 100,000, 100.5, it's harder to say, 100.5 and 99.7 are those two areas of support. All right, and that's just based on the backend data. when we take a look at the front end here, we can kind of recognize that, you know, we're back up over the 20-day SMA, which is good. We spent a very short amount of time underneath that. So as long as we stay above 97,000, in my personal opinion, I think we're still okay. All right, that's just kind of the overall sentiment. We can recognize too with the point of control here for local range, we can see, what is it, 96.5 as a rough estimate, somewhere between 96.5 and 98,000. So again, that kind of puts us right here at this 0.5 fib level at 97.5 as a close approximate. I think that's probably a pretty good area of support. So good news is we got our previous high, we got our current support range, current fib levels, and of course at $97,000. So me personally, just easy round numbers to remember, 97 to 100,000 is a good little support area for us here if we end up, you know, dropping below 100K. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of where we're at. So that's good news overall, right? Everything else is looking pretty steady on the daily time frame. There's nothing really here to note that's out of out of character. It's all kind of par for the course. Let's quickly look at the 4-hour time frame and recognize that MACD is converging still, stochastic swinging up for the second time. This does imply we have more continuation potential. We got the RSI increasing closer to 270, but not quite there yet. Money flow index right behind it. These are all very, very positive signs. We're now back up above all 4 moving averages. Okay, so these are super, super supportive, and just generally speaking, a lot of positivity here. So the 4-hour time frame is really letting us know that we're likely to be able to maintain this range of 97K to just say 101.5. I'm kind of just throwing it out there, but this is obviously the current range that we're in, so we're going to see if it does break free. I think it's likely to, but we got to wait for today's daily candle to close first. We close at 101.5 or higher. I think further upside would make more sense because that would allow for us to have broken above that previous resistance level. So that's kind of where we're at there. The hourly time frame we recognize here as well. We can see that we're above all indicators here, letting us know it's good to go, and there's no real reason to consider shorting. The window of opportunity is closing though, so obviously if we don't close above that 101.5 level today, then I think we're probably going to be more range bound between 99.6 and the 101.5. So we could very well see the price kind of continue down here and kind of do one of these, but the general idea here is that we're looking good here, and there's no reason to try to short into this. I know a lot of people are trying to short just because they feel like the market's overextended, and shorts are getting destroyed. While Monday we had one good day of shorts where altcoins dropped by 25%, sure, but they've all since recovered and then some at this point. Majority of them have broken their descending trend lines and are looking really good right now. So I don't necessarily recommend taking shorts, and I would just say in general, you're better off taking longs than on altcoins today. For the moment, that's kind of how we're looking at it. I mentioned that yesterday too, and they're all up still, and it's looking pretty solid. So again, do not short most coins right now. I don't think it's really a good shorting market for the moment at this time. I can quickly change tomorrow morning, by the way. But that's, again, all the more reason why you want to analyze every time you take a trade and just make sure you don't jump into a blind, into a trade in the blind, rather. Okay. So cool. That's what we got there. I'll update our playout chart. I'll post that on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, and then we'll kind of go from there. And obviously, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out. CryptoCash.tech is a website where you can message me, and or just in general, feel free to become a community member. We've got a lot of new members coming over. Welcome aboard. Make sure you read through our signals guide here if you're new to the channel, and then obviously if you want some TA requests, you can go ahead and send those in there. There's a handful of things here for you, but I appreciate you nonetheless. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.